Hello, and welcome to a very, very special episode of Just Shillin'. It's episode number 46, and I am one of your hosts, Sean Hoffman.
And I am your other host, Andy Bell. And today, folks, we're going to get back on that road for the next mile of the road to celebration. And we have an extraordinarily important guest today. It's your friend and ours. We've got Catherine Kneen, dialing in from Melbourne, Australia. Hey, Catherine.
Hey, everybody. Yes, Melbourne's doing its Melbourneist. It was boiling hot yesterday and now it's raining today. Melbourne.
I wish it was hot here.
I was going to say the same thing, actually. It's permanently cold at the moment and quite dreary. A single day of niceness would be good over here.
Yeah.
It's like a
How are you keeping, though, Catherine?
Yeah, good. I'm in this strange zone at school where the 2024 school year has ended, but we start 2025 on Monday. So it's all gearing up again. Yeah, we have 2 weeks of 2025. We call it Head Start. It's like a transition period. And so, yeah, we start teaching classes. It's 2 weeks of content, and then we hit the summer holidays.
Oh, wow.
They take living in the future very seriously, Andy.
Yes, they do, don't they? Am I right in saying you then don't go back until is it the end of January?
Yes, so we've got like 2 weeks left of classes, 3 weeks left of having to be at school, and then we go back after the 26th of January because that's the public holiday for Australia Day.
Right.
So we go back after that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
as I said to, no, that's all good. God, I feel like I know I just come back from a holiday, but I could do with a holiday at this moment in time. Right. As I said earlier on the intro, we're going to get back on the road to talk about Celebration Japan in April of 2025. But before we do that, in traditional fashion, what we're going to do is a very, very condensed version of what we normally go through every week. And I thought we'd go round robin as to what we've been up to over the last week. In your case, Catherine, you can talk about weeks, plural. What news we might have been picked up, what in particular has tickled our fancy and got us excited. However, normally I would go to our esteemed guest first, and I'm not going to do that this week because I have a sneaking feeling that something, or rather someone that has recently been in the news that our esteemed guest will be excited about may well become quite a conversation piece during this episode. So, Sean, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to buck the trend and start with you this time. How's your week been, mate?
My week has been good. I thought about joking and going, no, I don't want to go first, but I'll do it. I'll go. My week's been good. In terms, like, I do want to do a condensed version. I'm gonna save some stuff for next week, and I went through and trimmed some of it down. My week has been really kind of exciting. Madison got me a coffee advent calendar. And she got a tea one, so we've been like starting it early, so we're not just like rip roaring through December every day, just drinking like a ton of coffee. I've been loving it. It's been a good old time.
Nice.
So that's kind of how my week has been going. Am I rolling straight into my quick news bits too? Is that we're condensing it into that too?
Yes.
All right, perfect.
Let's we've got
perfect.
a lot to discuss, so let's cover this at the same time.
Cool. I have two things then. One of them is, as everybody knows, Skeleton Crew got bumped up a day, the release date for that. That's not the news. The news thing that I was interested in that I kind of got blindsided by, just happened to notice because I was shameless plug looking at my stupid Star Wars Blue Sky bot, and and I noticed that StarWars.com posted that Fandango here in the States was doing a free screening in like select theaters for the first 2 episodes. Like, it's not early; it's like at their release time. And I noticed that there was one in Sacramento, which is a couple hours away from. It's not an easy drive. It sucks. It's a horrible drive. So I was like, oh, cool. I'll just sign up and see what happens. It is weird. I did get the RSVP email. So, but what's weird about it is, like, I'm not sure if I'm going to go yet because they're like, oh, it's, they kept emphasizing it's first come, first serve. You're not guaranteed a spot. This is not a ticket yet. Like, so, but I'm like, okay, like, is it just the email that they're like sending, like in response to me clicking the button, like, yes, I would like to go. Like, is that just the email? Like, we're going to email you again. And when it gets closer to time, it's like, all right, are you saying that this email is not a confirmation and not a ticket, but I will get one later, maybe? Or are you saying, no, there will be no tickets. It's just going to be a show up that day, wait outside, and we will let in X number of people, and you may get in or may not, because those to me are 2 totally different things, especially if it's
So potentially you could drive quite far.
Yes.
Only to be turned away at the door.
You are saying a much shorter version of what I'm getting at. It's like, it's a 2.5 or 3 hour drive. I'm like, if I get a ticket, I might go. If they are saying there is no ticket, but if you wait outside, which, Star Wars fans, that could be you show up an hour early, you could get in, or you show up 16 hours early, you may not get in. I will not go. So TBD, I'll find out, I think Sunday night or Monday during the day. So yeah, but I did sign up for that. I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm going to get in. I don't know if I'm going to go, but I signed up for it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Because I know they're doing giveaways and other stuff. I don't know. It's very vague. I don't know what's happening. It's weird.
Oh man, I love free stuff, but I'm not sure if I'd be okay driving 2.5 hours for free stuff. Well, let's hope you get some sort of confirmation that makes it a little bit clearer.
There's also some good restaurants in Sacramento that I like to go to, and some other.
Okay.
There's IKEA there too, so I think like we usually like bundle it up. So like if I'm going there, there's like, all right, we look at our IKEA wish list and stuff, like, all right, go pick this up, and like, if we're making the trip to town, we're gonna do a couple things. So yeah, there's that whole thing. The other thing was more Disney related. So maybe maybe Catherine might be interested in this. I'm a huge Muppet fan. Everybody knows that. Yeah. The news broke that in Florida, the Muppet Vision 3D theater is closing in Florida to make way for Monsters Inc. Monsters Inc. roller coaster. That looks pretty cool. It is pretty neat. And if people don't follow me closely on Blue Sky, they're probably assuming, oh, I bet Sean's pissed. I bet Sean's mad. Sean's upset that Muppet Vision's closing. But you'd be surprised that I'm not. I'm not mad. There's a lot of people upset online, and I think if we take a step, my only comment is, I think if we take a step back and like read, there's so much of this online right now where people are just getting upset. And Andy, you and I have talked about this 1.5 million times of like, oh, we just read the headline and we get mad and we go and comment. But like, if you actually read read the article deeper, like, yeah, Muppet Vision 3D is a classic, a Disney World classic. It was one of the last few things that Jim Henson worked on before he passed. But like, if you read the press release from Disney, it's like they're working on preserving it and making it available for fans to watch going forward. So they're not just going to like shelve it. Muppets are moving over to Rock and Roller Coaster to replace Aerosmith. And so they're going to inhabit that roller coaster now and part of that re-theme, which is fantastic. I think that's a much needed transition.
And far more timeless, having the Muppets in there rather than Aerosmith.
Oh yeah, 1,000,000%. I love it. And
I can understand your thinking, but I only have one. I'm not saying objection because I love the Muppets because I love the Muppets as well. It's a massive part of my growing up in the 70s for me. But is Monsters Inc. current? Is it current? It seems a weird choice.
I think it is. It's not so much. There's a certain age range for, I think, English speaking countries.
Okay.
Like there's certain age ranges, especially for like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, things like that. Like there is kids that grew up with Monsters University, like it is weirdly big with them. It is.
All right. Okay.
It doesn't make sense. But for non-English speaking countries, it was also very, very big.
Oh wow. Okay.
For all that stuff, and so it has an interesting pull, especially for an international park. Like there's all sorts of comments I can make about like the fact that they keep putting the same rides and stuff and different things like that. But I think but the larger point is like it is sad that they're getting rid of Muppet Vision 3D, but like the continued investment in the parks and like the continued expansion to things that like, yeah, people don't go. People can be mad all they want that like, oh, they're shutting it down. But yeah, I don't see people spending money and going to it. If like, when you go to the park, do you go to Muppet Vision 3D and watch it 9 times? No, people don't. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, it's better to have a roller coaster there and something more interesting. And especially to get rid of Aerosmith, especially given the stuff that came out years ago. And like, Muppets are probably a better fit for a Disney park than Aerosmith. Like, considering like the fit there. Granted, Madison and I would have loved to see like a Goofy Movie Powerline concert take over that ride, but you know, Muppets are a good second place in my pick. But yeah, that's my news. I love it. I'm staying super positive about it. But and I hope and our friend Dave Strutt had a fantastic comment on there as well about how, you know, the Muppets. I'm not going to butcher his comment, but he had some really thoughtful insights about how, you know, the Muppets aren't big for the kids these days. Like they didn't keep up with the IP and stuff like that. And it's really important to our generation, but they didn't keep up with it. And so it could be important to us all day long, but it's just what it is. So
I think the preservation of not only the film, but all the animatronics and everything in the 3D theatre is what's important, because it was the last thing that Jim Henson worked on. But there's space in that park. Was it Star Wars Launch Bay or something? There's space in that park, but the actual Monsters Inc. roller coaster, the doors, it's an amazing concept, and a concept that's been kicking around for 20 years or something.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Yeah. So as soon as they announced that this coaster was going to get made, a lot of people were like, what does this mean for Muppets 3D? So people have had time to think about it, but Disney have made the commitment that they'll preserve the work in some way.
Yeah, the thing that's nice about it is it was on the original release and not after the fact, not after the outrage. The fact that they're like, we are working to make sure that this stuff is available for people goes a long way for me, and not like after a petition.org thing. So that makes me very happy, and that's my 2 cents on it. So yeah.
All right, guys. So I'll be quick. A couple of things that I either got wrong or omitted last week. When we talked about the news last week, we forgot to mention, not that it's been covered by pretty much everyone who are better podcasters than we are in the last week or so, but Vision Series 3 or Season 3 has been announced, which I'm super stoked about, because it seems to be that they're revisiting Visions.
Go ahead.
Okay, fine. Okay. Sorry, man. It's late my time. Don't forget. So Vision Season 3 coming out. It's great. Interestingly, and I'll talk about this with you when we next record in greater detail. Interestingly, one of the studios, which I believe is called Trigger, that is coming back for Season 3, is also a creator of a series that I finished recently, which is Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Anyway, That's a by the by. So yeah, Vision season 3. Got to acknowledge that that's coming out. Very excited about that. The DreamWorks animation that I could not remember last week was, of course, not Casablanca. It's Madagascar. How the hell either of us could not remember which one we were talking about? Madagascar. Which was a series of movies that I didn't perhaps warm to as I did How to Train Your Dragon and indeed Wild Robot. Outside of that, been a bizarre week. I said to you last week, I'm going through some tests at the moment with some medical stuff. There's some stuff going on that they're trying to work out what's going on. I'll let you know. I'll let everyone know what's going on as and when they know what's going on. So I've gone through another week of tests and stuff to find out what's happening to my ailing body. And then lastly, and most excitingly, I downloaded the Outlaws Wildcard DLC, albeit I had a few problems at the first instance in that it wouldn't download. No, not that it wouldn't download. It did download, and it acknowledged a proportion or a part of the DLC, which was the cosmetics, the outfits and the skins for the ships and everything, which was great. But the actual gameplay itself was not working at all. So I had to do some jiggery pokery. I must say that Ubisoft support was rubbish. Anyway, I ended up doing a little bit of jiggery pokery on some of my save files. I moved them around a little bit actually, and I moved them from cloud to physical, from physical back to cloud. Deinstalled the whole game, reinstalled it, and finally it got working again, which was great. But we'll talk about the experience of that DLC and how I feel about it when we next talk. So that was my week. Catherine, Kneen, our very, very special guest. What have you been up to in the last week or so, and what are you excited about?
Well, for those who don't know, Silo Season 2 has started. Episode 3 just dropped early for some reason. Probably Thanksgiving reasons.
Yeah.
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 Those
Americans, eh?
Yeah. Everything gets rearranged around Thanksgiving.
One of us.
Yeah, so the skeleton crew change of times has thrown me.
Hang on a second, Catherine. What are you making of season 2 of Silo so far?
Oh, it's good. Like I love the slow burn of it all.
Yeah.
And I think the first 2 episodes are great, but I think you can sort of tell they kind of designed those to be released at once, the first 2 episodes. But I think it's great. I think it's well worth a watch. I think people should give it a try. Apple tends to make pretty good stuff, but not promote it in any way.
No. We've got Severance season 2 around the corner as well. I mean, they're just killing it. They're just absolutely killing it.
I think
they're really good at
season 2 has
advertising it
started.
on their own homepage, on their own little thing. It's like, great, thanks for advertising it on your own platform when I'm here. That'd be great if you did it somewhere else.
Yeah. Silo, yes, it's another one of their single word, titled shows that start with S. But yeah, it's been great. So surprisingly, not that long ago, we got that sort of upcoming in Disney that came out for the D23 that was in Brazil, and we got some new official clippets of Andor, which is amazing, like little snippets and a date. Sorry, my cat has just decided to come in, and he's all wet.
It's only acceptable if we get to see him. That's the rule.
He stays out of camera range.
It's camera shy.
Yeah.
Nah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, so we got a date, 22nd of April, which is the American date. So 23rd of April, my time or Japan time. So now the debate is on is whether they will bring that release date forward to coincide it for Japan so I can lose my mind in front of thousands of other people as the first episode of Andor comes out.
I was going to ask a question. I don't know whether I save that question until we talk about.
Ask it.
No,
now.
I'll ask it now. Ask it now.
Ask it now.
Do you think that they'll just shut up? Andy, this is the voice of your conscience speaking. Do you think that they'll launch a week earlier to coincide with Tokyo, or do you think there'll be an exclusive preview in Tokyo, and the rest of the world will have to wait a week?
I think it'll come out early, like what they did with Kenobi. That they had it. They brought forward the premiere to have it there, during Celebration. Like we got it 2 hours earlier at Celebration Anaheim. So yeah, we watched it there, and then we went back to the Airbnb and watched it again. But yeah, they did that. They announced that about a week before it actually happening, or even closer to, because I know the Star Wars Underworld people, they'd organised a get together on that night, like a gathering at an IHOP. So
with invitations and everything. Oh yeah, wow.
They were a little okay, but they only had to wait 2 hours to see it, so it wasn't like such a big deal. But I can't think of why they wouldn't bring it forward to have it.
Is it a dual episode first initial release, or is it just one?
I don't know. They haven't said.
Yet.
They haven't given that much in the way of details. It wouldn't surprise me if it was at least a dual episode release. That seems to be the Disney modus operandi, and I think it's not a bad thing. Originally with Andor, it was going to be a 2 episode release, and then they put the schedule back like a week or a couple of weeks, which at the time we were like, well, why have they done that? And it was so that they could release 3 episodes at once. And for Andor, that made a lot of sense to hook people into that first arc. I don't know whether they will have to do that as much this time around, because I think people are far more prepared to go, these are 3 episodes arcs. I'm not going to judge the show by the first episode. We're going to wait till at least the first arc is released. But who knows? Andor episodes do tend to be on the longer side. So between that 40 to 50 minute up to 60 minute type of length. But I don't know. I don't know.
Of course, the 3 episode arc is even more. It's going to be even more prominent this time round. So as opposed to just, it's not only an arc; it's also a year.
Yeah.
In the timeline as well. So it would be. I guess it's doable, but it'd be weird to launch with 2 back-to-back episodes and then have a week with the conclusion of that year. In air quotes,
I think they'll only launch with one. I think they'll only launch with one a week. And I personally, since Celebration ends on the 20th and the first episode is supposed to launch the 22nd, I don't think that, I'm torn at the moment. I'm sure Lucasfilm was currently there's a lot of discussions currently going on. Like
Yeah.
they would not give it to us on the 20th. Like they're not going to do a screening on the last day of celebration. It's not going to happen. So it would be 18th or 19th.
Yep.
And if they do it the 18th or 19th, they're not going to give it to this is my opinion. They're not going to give it to just us 3 days early.
No,
There's no way.
Okay.
They will, do a worldwide, at most, they might do something similar to Kenobi where they drop it 2 hours later or something, or, once our screening's finished. That was kind of basically the timing, wasn't it? Yeah, we came in with Kenobi. We had like a 7 o'clock screening and it was releasing at 9 o'clock, for everyone. So I think that was...
And heck, we're not even talking about what language are they going to screen it in? Like, are they going to have how do you even do that? Do you have 2 rooms? Do you just say, okay, English is pretty prevalent and Japanese, and we do it in 2 places? Or do we just say, no, you're getting it in Japanese? Or can they say just we're doing it in English? Like, I don't want to be in that room, in that discussion. I don't know. I would love it. That'd be fantastic. Could you imagine if we went there? We're like, we get it 3 days early. And they're like, it's in Japanese. And it's like, I'd love it and be like, this is awesome.
I was going to say, I'd love that. I would love that. I would absolutely love that. That would,
as long as subtitles are on.
And really cement the Japanese experience.
As long as subtitles are on, because otherwise I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I get it. Yeah. I could piece it together, but please at least let there be subtitles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless they wrote it twice, back to back.
I'd do that. That's fine.
Take it.
Catherine will be fine with that. Oh, by the way, folks, I'm assuming everyone that's listening, all 3 of you, I'm assuming you all know. If you listen to us, you definitely listen to Catherine, both on her own podcast, That Geek Pod, but also she's the right hand person to Josh Chapman on Star Wars Spell Out as well. And as such, I'm assuming you're already listening to her. You already know Catherine really well, and you know that she is, I think, in the Guinness Book Records actually, as being the #1 fan for Andor, anything Cassian Andor related, and is worldwide renowned as officially managing the countdown to the Andor season 2. So I just want to make sure that, I'm trying to give context as to why we're spending so much time on Andor, because it's Catherine, and Catherine is Andor.
And I have
Andor
to say,
is Catherine.
I've seen other people trying to step into that role and trying to some imitators. They're not as good. It's not as good.
No,
it's not as consistent. The quality is not there with the countdowns. No. It's not as good.
No.
Yeah. I've got Adam Lance Garcia would do countdowns for everything, but he stopped doing that. Apart from when things were announced, but I have the official blessing from him. He's so happy for me to continue because he knows what it means to me. But yeah, so a lot of people have heard the backstory that I started counting down to Andor as something to look forward to during the midst of one of Melbourne's very long lockdowns. I'm sure we're all aware of the lockdowns that Melbourne did. And, so, living alone, only being able to, you can't really travel more than 5 kilometres. It's very limiting. So, looking forward to Andor was that thing to get through the next day. Having gotten through the day, you can mark, gotten through the day, that's 1 day closer to Andor. So, he's been a constant. In 2019 when they announced that they'd been making Andor, I still remember getting out of my car at work going, oh, that's a lot of notifications. Go into my office, open the phone up and going, oh my God, everyone tagging you with what had happened. But yeah, so every night before I go to bed, I memorialise that we're one day closer to Andor. It used to be just on Twitter, but now it's Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads.
Yeah.
And Twitter, I'm really only still on Twitter to maintain the streak of saying that, every
You are
night.
forgiven. You are forgiven. Everyone's going to understand. If anyone gets a part, it's going to be you, Catherine.
Yeah, because consistency and that streak, like that's where the history is of doing it all the time.
Whatever you do, don't break it now.
Oh,
Actually,
yeah.
I don't know if many people know this. You got called out during last this. So I've only ever been to one celebration, and I know I'm kind of leapfrogging what we are talking about, but I've only ever been to one celebration, and I met you guys in London last year. What year are we in? We're into last April. Obviously I already knew you via the socials before then, but you even got called out in one of the panels, didn't you?
No.
Where I thought you got called out in one of the panels. There's somebody in the audience that is counting down. That has been counting down to. Am I dreaming?
I remember something. I don't know if it was a celebration, but I remember there was something. I don't know if it was it a tweet or something where you got mentioned. Or maybe it was like a retweet or something. I know. I remember, Andy, what you were talking about, or like the countdown Andor stuff.
Yeah, I don't know whether it had anything to do with Jamie Benning over at Filmumentaries, whether he said something or commented on something. And it may well be on the socials. You could be right.
Yeah.
But I know it was around the time of me first meeting you.
Yeah. Yeah. Bits of 2023 are a bit of a blur.
Heck, man, they're in 2025 in Australia. Like, what is time? It's all
Time's a flat circle.
Yeah. So here we are. We are a matter of months, a matter of 5 months away from Andor season 2. Catherine?
Yep.
Tell us what you've seen which we've all seen, but tell us what you've seen in the trailers and the magazine pics and which is on your way in the posts on Monday morning. Tell us what is getting you really excited about Andor, and where do you think the story is going to take us? Because the reason why I'm asking is that I'd love to get your take on where you think they'll focus, because in the 5 years that they have remaining, there's a lot to squeeze in. There's a lot to squeeze in.
And honestly, I wish that we had that original plan of 5 seasons here, 1 year, a season. Like, that would be my magic wand. I don't think it's I don't think it's a matter of dump trucks full of money, but I'm sure it wouldn't. I'm sure it would help. But
well, especially as we don't have much of a slate now after Andor, do we? Not really.
No.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. So we've seen who we presume to be K2SO in the official trailers. So we want to see him and Cassian meeting and reprogramming him and becoming friends. We've seen Krennic officially in the Empire magazine pictures. So it'd be great to start to get that behind the scenes shenanigans of the security bureau and all of that, rumblings between like the intelligence of the rebellion and then what's going on with the Empire there. That building of the Death Star, or at least that building of a project, some whispers of a project coming out. I'd love to see a friendship or at least some kind of relationship forming between Cassian and his informer, Tevik, who, of course, we see in the opening scenes of Rogue One on the Ring of Catherine. I'd love to see those two interacting, a bit through the course of, these episodes, like over the years, to see them interacting, to be his long-time informant.
Let me ask you the question. Do you think that we'll see Saul Guerrera? Do you think we'll see him again?
Yeah.
Well, then I think there's a really good chance you'll get your wish, because isn't the guy Saul's messenger?
He's part of Saul's crew or extended extended crew. So there is a possibility of not only there with Saul, but I would hope to see him interacting with Cassian just to make us cry even more, make it hit even harder, that scene on the Ring of Catherine. Andor's going to make us hurt. It's going to make us hurt, and I can't wait for it. Look, those are sort of the things I think we'll see. There's a chance of seeing the massacre of the Gormans that Mon Mothma talks about in that episode of Rebels, like that being basically the final straw and why she leaves the Senate, because we've already had a mention of Gormans in season 1, and I apologise if I'm saying that wrong. And Tony Gilroy is well aware of that, because he was asked the question prior to season 1 and he was like, yeah, I know about them. He was able to reel off all these back. So it's like, don't come at Gilroy. He knows the stuff he needs to know. So I think we'll really see those building of the rebellion. So we may see a glimpse of Blue Leader. Is it General Merrick?
Merrick.
Yep.
With and that delicious tash.
Oh, dashing. Absolutely dashing.
What a dude.
And we'll see, a lot of the other leaders of the rebellion. I'm sure, because we'll end up on Yavin base, that we will see glimpses or at least allusions to them that we see in A New Hope and in Rogue One. So it's Andor season 1. It was very, quote unquote reference light. We'll get I think a few more of those sort of direct links into Star Wars movies, but I have complete faith that it's all for story reasons and it all makes sense. It's not for the Leo gift pointing of it all.
Yeah.
So, seeing Melchi in season 1 was a complete surprise. But it hit home, and seeing him
going, tastefully.
Yeah, it was done tastefully, and it was that, they've got a deep friendship and trust that goes back, a long way. This is why, Melchi would follow Cassian, and God, you watching Rogue One now, it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hearing you talk about some of these beats, it kind of I can't help but have this kind of idea in my head pop up. It's more of an open question for anybody, kind of discussing the original plan of taking 5 seasons, which we would all love. Like, and this question originally started as almost like a worry that I had in my head while you were talking, and now it's kind of formed into like I wonder if this was a change that happens, and I wonder whose decision it was. So the question I'm posing is, it was originally 5, and then it got bumped down to 2, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think we all assumed it's budgetary, it's yada 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 yada. But my question is, I'll lead the question as what I'm thinking. I wonder, was that more of a Tony Gilroy decision because he doesn't want to get stuck in the world of 4 additional seasons of trying to take his style of storytelling and his writing and getting stuck in the Dave Filoni style of writing where it's like, I got to fit in all this Star Wars kind of expectations and yada, yada, yada for 4 more seasons.
I don't,
more of him.
I don't know what, obviously you're not a mind reader. And I'm sure there's many factors that go into it, but it was at Anaheim Celebration when Diego and Tony talked about it being only 2 seasons, and both of them talked about how filming the 1 season was fantastic, but it was grueling, and it was hard. It was hard work. It took a long time, and Diego has said, he's away from family for a long time, but he's also saying, if that would be like realistically 10 years of his life, and he's not looking like what he was like 10 years ago. Like I think he's sort of, so I think there's a bit of, when they took on the 5 seasons, they didn't quite know how difficult it would be. So I'm hoping there was like a mutually reached decision between them and Disney of, okay, let's make 2. I'm sure that with now Disney reevaluating all their, how much they're putting into producing Disney Plus shows, I'm sure they've now go, I'm glad we haven't committed for the 5 seasons because that's a lot of money. So, yeah, but I am bummed. But, it's been said online, but it's that it'd be great to then get a story from Gilroy or Gilroy-esque about what's happening with the rebellion, or these people of the rebellion between A New Hope and Empire.
Oh, yeah, Mel.
He's brought such a breath of fresh air, and he's not like, he's not a quote unquote fan of Star Wars, but he is. Like, he knows Star Wars, but he's not so handcuffed to everything in it. He likes what Star Wars can say, and he's using it to say things. So
he's
I
not
think
obsessive.
He wants the freedom. He likes the universe, but he wants the freedom to tell a story, not be the connective tissue of like. He doesn't want to write a saga film. He doesn't want to be in like, I'm gonna play with characters in a sandbox kind of thing.
So I think he's done lots of different genres. I think like just. I haven't got his filmography in front of me, but I think he's probably used the different genres to say different things. He's used them for different things. But I think in Andor, because it's set in a galaxy far, far away, he's been able to say quite a lot, but it's couched in, this is the Empire. This is the Empire doing this. And so he's been able to couch it in that way, which is, of course, what the best science fiction has always done, has put that mirror up to society, but done it in a different setting. You think of that, Star Trek episode, the original series Star Trek episode, it sort of seems a bit naff now of those, the peoples on the planet who's white on one side, black on the other one's the other way round. Why can't they get along? It's like, oh, there's your metaphor right there. Can you see it, people? So yes, Star Wars and Star Trek have always been woke, people.
For sure.
You're telling me it's political? What?
Yeah. I have,
sorry.
I have a statement, actually, not a question. I just wanted to say I 100% agree with you. I think that he has introduced so many rich, believable, and genuine characters in the first season of Andor, that to leave them at the end of Cassian's journey, and not establish what happened next, I think would be a crying shame. Again, he doesn't have to be shoehorned into the Filoni type of, we need a series, we need it over a three story arc, etc., etc., etc. But if we could see what's happened with our friends, or Cassian's friends. One question I do have for you, though, is that do you think that, this is the one thing, so will they go there? I asked myself the question, will they go there or won't they go there? And that is, when the Gorman massacre happens, and obviously they've covered Mon Mothma leaving the Senate and denouncing the Emperor. They've done that already in Rebels. Do you think they'd be afraid to redo that? I personally don't think they would be, but do you think they'll even bother?
I don't think they'd redo, her being picked up by the rebels.
Right.
They might cover her escape from Coruscant and from the Senate, because that might bring her in contact with our man on the scene, Cassian, Fulcrum. So it might do it that way, that they might cover it from a different angle. Tony Gilroy does not strike me as a man who's afraid.
No.
He is quite willing to do things. But it's interesting the way that, if they've changed sort of backstories, as it were, like the story of Cassian's birth, he was meant to be from born in a certain place. It's, the name escapes me now, but they've changed it to Canary, but that story that's in the visual guide or whatever, that's his backstory, that's his cover story. So they've respected that the established canon, as it were, but deepened it. They've respected it, but even if they've changed it, it's a really interesting thing they've done. And you think there's deep Easter eggs in there. It's deep cuts, sometimes in the dialogue, sometimes just in the background, but they've been really selective of it. They haven't lingered on things. Like the Cantwell ship that the Empire has, that was a deep cut, prototype that they'd had during A New Hope. And all the little objects in Luthen's shots, like there's some absolute deep cuts in there. And even some of the dialogue in the scenes in the ISB, in the boardroom, as it were, they're referencing lots of different little planets and things. So Gilroy and his team have used the team like Pablo and others who know all these canon. They've used them really well. And and I think I've probably drifted off point. But
no. You said it perfectly. And I also think that, the main thing that you put over was that Gilroy's not afraid to take risks. But I also think, and in addition to that, I also think that he's not someone to throw in a cameo for the sake of throwing in a cameo. And I guess that if you went too far with replacing or augmenting or redoing the Mon Mothma thing, you'd have to then include the cast of the crew of the Ghost, to your point, which I avoid at all costs. It's getting way too congested.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I just hope they don't, because I would love to see Tony Gilroy like prove the point that you can do this stuff that is connected, and you don't have to show how or why it's connected.
Yeah.
Like Madison and I were happened to be watching a video yesterday that was kind of talking about some of this stuff, and like some of the, I won't go into all the whys, who's, and what's, and like some of the issues with like people's gripes with some of the Filoni stuff, but like, and why Andor is so successful, because like anybody can sit down and watch it and get it. You don't have to, you don't feel like you have to be part of like a special club of like, oh, you didn't watch all 17 seasons of the animated show and you don't get it. Well, well, too bad.
Yeah.
Like I want it to continue to stay that way. Like I want it, Andor, to take a stand and be like, you didn't have to watch Rebels. You didn't have to watch this. You don't have to, like, don't give people the satisfaction of being like, oh, that's that one scene. It's like, let it stand on its own. Like, you don't have, like, it can be connected, but it doesn't have to, like, recreate those scenes. It can be powerful and impactful. Not because I don't want it, or not because I'm vengeful or spiteful, but, like, it's just such a powerful show.
Yeah.
It doesn't need, like, I'll call it what it is. It doesn't need the spoon feeding. As much as I love it. I'll watch it, but it's like, it doesn't need it. It doesn't need it. We all know it, but
It's such a good show, and I'm so glad it was recognized in the Emmys, as being a best drama. And when obviously I tell people to watch Andor all the time, like quite a lot, and they're like, oh, I don't really watch Star Wars. I'm like, well, there's an empire, don't you? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's all you need to know. That's really basically all you need to know to enjoy Andor. Because yes, Melchi's in it, but you don't necessarily need to know that he shows up in Rogue One.
No.
For people who maybe haven't, for people who haven't seen Rogue One but have watched Andor and then decide to watch Rogue One.
Exactly.
That's a delightful little thing for them. But the way they filmed it, it wasn't that lingering, oh, look at this cameo, everyone. He was just one of the 6 around the table that Cassian met, and it wasn't filmed in a special way. He was just filmed like anyone else on there. So it was, for us, it was special. I mean, obviously that episode, we also got Andy Serkis. Like, that was out of the blue, Andy Serkis being in the show. Like, you sort of hear the voice, you go, oh, okay, hang on. And then he walks in, you're like, oh my God, here he is in his unmocapped self commanding the scene. And that was delightful. Like, that was wonderful.
Do you think he's...
God, that prison arc is still...
Yeah. Do you think he's back in season 2, or do you think that's too much, that's too on the nose, or too...
it's too...
Because for me, I think that wouldn't be very Gilroy-esque.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I think, that we wouldn't go back to finding that Cassian will keep moving forward. Obviously, we who love Kino Loy want to know, did he make it off?
Yeah.
Or was he still on there when the Empire came? Like, what happened? But this is the thing, that this is far more like real, quote unquote, real life. We're just not going to know what happens.
For the, and for the story, it's not about him. He'll come back in some book or comic for the Star Wars fans, but like for the average viewer, like they don't care. So Gilroy won't bring him back or anything like that.
Well, it just
in some ways he's played his role.
Yes,
he's played his role. He's built another piece of Cassian to be that man who got on the ship to Scarif, knowing, well, this could be it, and then at the end, sitting there on the beach, not knowing if the message has got out, but just hoping.
Again,
they've done enough
He's one of the faces that flashes before him before he goes.
Oh
Like,
God! Now
it's-
I've got visions of fan edits in my brain that people are going to do of intercutting
like a
that
light
big
flashing before your
scene
eyes and stuff.
of all the people like Martha,
Oh, don't,
Kino,
don't.
and all of that. Oh God! Oh God! Now,
Right. So,
you broke me. You
no.
broke
Well,
me.
yeah, I was going to say, let's move on, Sean. I mean, it's look what you've done. So our segue to talking about Tokyo. Let's use Andor. We're all pretty much agreed it's gonna be big. Andor is gonna
I should work for
appear
I should work for Lucasfilm.
yeah appear prominently in Tokyo. So, Catherine, talking about celebration, Star Wars celebration. 3 questions for you. Very exactly the same question.
Only 3.
Well, you can go for as long as you want, I promise you. But we asked Josh 3 questions the last time when we started this gig. So give us a little bit of a summary as to your experience of past celebrations. Where did it start for you? What happened? What was the general vibe? How did you approach it? All that kind of goodness as to what made you a compulsive celebrationer today.
Well, obviously, my celebration story is similar to Josh's in that we sort of first heard about it through Steel,
Yeah.
through Steel Wars, and became more of a possibility. And we got this little crew here in Melbourne together of people who knew each other, and it was like, well, now it's not such a scary proposal, and we kind of knew some people over the internet. So
And had
it
you
sort of
met?
became a thing
Had
of,
you
let's go.
had you guys met by then, actually face to face?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're coming up to like we've been past an anniversary of at the comedy festival. Steel was doing
Right.
4 shows on the Sunday, and I've of course went to all 4. Or on the first week, you're sort of standing there in the line, head down, not talking to anyone. Second week or so, you go, oh, okay, yep. So that you do the head, oh yeah,
The
recognise you,
acknowledgement.
yep.
Yeah. I saw you last time.
The acknowledgement, yep. And by the 4th week, you're like, oh yeah, not quite talking, but you're sort of talking a little bit. And that 4th week, I think we had a teaser trailer for Force Awakens.
Nice.
So yeah, that's when we sort of got to know each other and hanging out. And we got to know each other more and more and more over the years. And yeah, it's been amazing how a podcast, like it started with I Love Green Guide Letters and then moved into Steel Wars, can bring you friends.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was like this, oh, did you want to go to celebration? And we're like, yeah. And it sort of became that, well, we could go to that Chicago one. And so we all sort of decided. Now, I can't remember what time the tickets actually came out. Like, might have been like 3 a.m. our time or 5 a.m. or something. We were far more casual about it. We didn't know. We did not know because I think I just logged on to my laptop, here at home prior to work, maybe 6:30, got the 5-day pass, no worries. It's all simple. And then, we then coordinated going, well, what do we do? Me being me, I'm like, right, where are we going to stay, Josh? What are we going to do? Like, are we going to get a hotel? Like, are we going to get an Airbnb? What are we going to do, Josh? What are we going to do? And Josh's like, it's okay. It's okay. I've got this. So, we ended up at, booking an Airbnb. There was kerfuffles and, Airbnb being Airbnb.
Yeah.
But then getting to meet a lot of, like our friends in real life was magical. Because it's that you don't know what people are going to be like. This is even the oddest thing. Like, I had met Turbo in real life because I'd flown up to Sydney for Steele's Rogue One podcast, because he'd done the live one in Melbourne, then he'd done, after the film, and then he went up to Sydney and did another one there. I, of course, flew up to Sydney to do that because even before I knew Rogue One was my movie and it's my movie.
Yeah.
And I think I met Turbo real life then, but Josh hadn't met Turbo.
Yeah.
Like, they'd communicated, and so we ended up all, sharing an Airbnb, and, Turbo's one of my best mates. Then meeting all the friends, internet friends in real life, it's amazing. And then we were at the bar in Chicago, the Haunted Hotel, and meeting Brittany in real life. I think we just sort of stared and laughed at each other for a while. And Steele described it as the internet come to life. That all these people, like meeting King Tom.
Yeah.
Like, he just introduced himself as Tom, and then after a little while, I clicked and went, "Oh, King Tom!"
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yes. So we were in. I think we were hooked. We all bought far too many Black Series because you do that the first celebration you go to. You buy far too much.
Oh, you buy everything. It's literally everything you can get your hands on.
Yeah. And I think you were saying on Spelt Out the other day, Andy, it's how expensive stuff is for us here.
Yeah.
So it feels cheaper over there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And so, we were in. So they announced for 2020. We're like, oh, okay. I'd expected the next year, but it is the anniversary of Empire. Yes, we'll get our tickets. Yes, that time we did get up at 2 o'clock in the morning or something. Turbo may have just stayed up. And secured our tickets, and then, we know what happened. So, and then they, put it to 2022, and us in our naivety were like, 2022?
Oh,
that's
God.
That's so far away. Why have they put it off so far? But then borders were closed, and then when they brought it forward to May 22, we initially freaked out. I did, because the week before they'd done that, our then Prime Minister in the budget and in Parliament was talking about potentially our borders not opening again until mid-2022. So that was a pretty devastating point of time.
Yeah, you guys,
Josh and I kept the faith.
You guys had it hard though. In particular, I mean, you know the story of our lockdown and the shenanigans our own government got up to at the time. But you guys were relatively rigid, weren't you, on the lockdown?
Yeah, like New Zealand, even more so, I think. But we were pretty rigid. Our state, our city in particular, was very strict. As a consequence, obviously, over that period of time, the impact of COVID was less than what it was in a lot of other countries. But obviously, we had, the restrictions, and we had a lot of lockdowns and things. Now, there were people in other countries saying we were locked in our homes and authoritarian states. It's like no, it wasn't. That was more upsetting at the time than the actual lockdown for me.
Right.
Was all these lies being said about us in other countries who didn't know. But it was a bit rough that you had to your 5 kilometre bubble, and then this was why we were so angry when ScoMo said that with the vaccine rollout, it's not a race, and he like slow mode the rollout. We were like, nah,
Get on with it. Get on with
it. It was like a big. That was one of the brouhahas that, thank God, got rid of him. But so we, as a nation, got that first wave of vaccinations very, pretty well quickly. Sorry, you just sort of can't talk about that time without bringing it up. It was just such a major thing.
It was well. I wouldn't say jog your memory. I'm going by what I've heard from people like Josh, people like Sean, people like our buddy Chris Hall, and others that said that time happened, but had it not been for the friendships that you guys forged in Chicago, in Anaheim, that you were able to sustain during lockdown. So even when there was no celebration, you were celebrating one way or another, and keeping and supporting each other and keeping each other sane. Keeping each other sane, quite frankly, for each other. Yeah. And the fact that all came from a celebration, I would say, your experience during COVID itself was actually attributed to, the relationships you built originally. What was your? Sorry.
Yeah, celebration is an appropriate word for the convention. It's a celebration, Star Wars. It's a celebration of friendship in a way.
Yeah. I mean,
Star Wars is just the vehicle in which we're celebrating our friends. It's the reason, like, it's the thing we're talking about, but really we're all there to see our friends because we just happened to be talking to our neighbors the other day, and we happened to mention to them we're going back to Japan. And they're like, "Oh, what are you going for?" It's like, "Oh, we're going to the Star Wars convention." Like, "You're going back to Japan for Star Wars?" It's like, "No, I'm really going to see like my friends." Like the Star Wars convention it's cool. Like that's awesome. But the reason that you pull the trigger and go is the community, the friendship, to get to hang out with like I've never been to something where I hang out with such a large group of people. Like, besides a wedding, and I don't even like half of those people at weddings. Like, that's just because I have to. But this is like, I like all these people. Like, I've never experienced anything like that in my life, where it's like, you're just a big group like that. And it's just like, wow, this is crazy.
Well, it didn't take me long when I met you guys, and you guys were so gracious and welcoming. Didn't take me long to not be upset that I didn't get into as many panels as I was hoping for. And it very, very quickly, my expectations of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to experience at Celebration, it changed fundamentally. I wanted to hang out with you guys. I wanted to hang out, and it was almost like some of the panels in particular were almost inconsequential to the experience of being with like-minded folk that put up with my bullshit. So Catherine, next question is, of the three you've been to now?
Yeah.
Three you've been to now, give me 3 standout moments. Not necessarily what a standout moment from each, but what are your 3 largest standout moments across the 3 celebrations you've been to, what have really, I'm going to guess I know which one of them is, but what are the standout moments that have really made the event for you?
I mean, meeting everyone at Chicago,
Right.
that was amazing. Like knocking on the door of Echo Base, not knowing, like, are these people as cool as what we think they are? Emily opening the door and giving us a big hug.
Wow.
Bang. Like meeting Brittany in the bar and us. Honestly, there's a photo of us sort of just like holding hands in the air and just like staring at each other. There's, within Celebration itself, I mean, there's seeing Diego Luna from mere meters away. Like that was astonishing. It's also how everyone else was excited for me that happened.
It's contagious.
Yeah.
The excitement is contagious.
Yeah. And everyone knew what it meant. So, for Anaheim, we'd been hanging out by the Star Wars stage. We saw the spoilers of who was coming up next on the teleprompter, but then that kept getting changed. But we were meant to be going to Kenobi screening, but Josh and I were like, nah, staying.
Yeah.
And then we went. We saw it. I lost my little mind. It's still bookmarked on the Spelt Out Twitter page, and I think it's still bookmarked on mine, of the video that Josh took of of me losing my mind, and then going into the Kenobi screening afterwards, and me sort of screaming at people going, "I saw Diego Luna," and them going, "Yes!" Like just people, everyone knowing each one's fandom or what they really enjoy and being happy for other people. Like it's a really positive experience with that. Like spending that time with so many people who get you and understand you is a unique experience.
Yeah.
It's a singular experience.
Do you remember in London when we queued for what felt like a god's age to get into the Andor Pal?
Yeah.
And we were, Sean, I don't know if I think you were with us. You were with us.
I remember the little Cassian Andor action figure.
Yeah, you were either with us.
I remember.
But the point,
There he is.
What I'm trying to make is we had been queuing an hour before they'd even officially started the queues, because by hook or by crook, Catherine was going to get into this panel. And as it transpires, we're right at the front. There must maybe 2 or 3 more couples before us.
Yeah, this was the behind the scenes panel. That one
was it? Yeah. I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the one where Josh and a few of the other guys come in nonchalantly about just as the queues are about to start moving, and they end up sitting right next to us.
Yeah.
Was that behind the scenes?
We weren't. Yeah, they weren't there for behind the scenes. We were right up the front for behind the scenes. For the Andor panel by itself, like queued up for quite a while, but obviously the VIPs sort of were in the front.
Yeah.
We were behind, and they gave a selection of seats also to the people who cosplayed as the Narkina 5 prisoners.
That's right.
And they were given, time to come up on stage, because I think even, Gilroy in his very Gilroyan self he was chuffed by seeing these people dressed like that. And because the costume designers were there as well, they were really chuffed, like seeing people cosplaying as that. And, so of course at Celebration, there's the running of the Wildrow Hoods, but a new tradition started of the running of the Narkina 5 of one way out,
it's
one way
brilliant.
out, one way
But my
out.
point being was that during that, whichever panel it was, because I must admit, I was more psyched on the atmosphere than probably what I was listening and watching to. But the point being is that, within 15, 20 minutes, pretty much everyone's now in the room. And lo and behold, Josh and certainly you, Sean, and a bunch of the other guys, like I said, just literally haven't been queuing at all for very long at all, literally sat next to us. Anyway, 10, 15 minutes into the panel, and all I can say is that I've never seen anyone so excited as I saw you, Catherine. And I think I've got a feeling it might have been when we got the sneak peek of season 2 with him with the greased back hair, Anyway, point being is that I, at that moment in time, I was very, very worried because I didn't know you very well. I honestly was worried about your well-being. I because your reaction was so should we say severe, and I had to ask Josh, who luckily was sitting next to us. I said, "Is everything okay? Should I get some water or something?" And he just took one look at me and went, "Nah, mate, it's fine. Nah, she's absolutely fine. Give her 5 minutes. She'll be absolutely fine." But yeah, I didn't realize. I don't think I realized. Of course, I knew you were into Andor. I'd been following you guys on the socials, and I'd been listening to your podcast. But good God, I've never seen anything like it in my life. And fair play to you. The joy coming out of you during that panel was a sight to behold. I don't think I ever see anything like that again.
Yeah. I say this with complete love, but there was a minute where I was like, I thought I was gonna need to get one of those brown paper lunch bags that you breathe in. I was like, I think, are we okay? And it's like, oh no, she's great. It's like, okay, I just want to make sure we're breathing because I don't want her to miss anything. But she's good. All right, we're good. But yeah, it was infectious. It was fantastic. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having she's having so much fun that it's like washing over everybody else in the crowd, and we're all having more fun because she's having so much fun. It was crazy. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe without recording it, and that's not what we do.
No.
Yeah,
Josh
we don't
does.
do that.
Josh does, but we don't.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Josh does in the that stage area, the Star Wars Live stage area.
Yeah.
He knows his responsibility to the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good. You know what he's like as well. Selfishly, he knows good content when he sees it as well. A consummate professional. Okay, next question. What are your plans for Tokyo? Now, I don't know anyone quite as organized as you across the entire globe.
Oh.
I know that there are some things that you haven't locked down yet, but what are your aspirations for your visit to Tokyo, both inside and outside celebration? Because I'm in awe of you, and I'm envious that you have the ability to make it a true trip to Japan, which unfortunately I can't. But give us a little overview of what Catherine Kneen has planned.
Well, it coincides with our term 1 break, so there's 2 weeks there. So
Nice.
my philosophy has been, and it was the same with Chicago and with London, is that if it happens during one of these breaks, I should just be over there for the whole break. Make it a proper
Nice
trip. This time around, I'm going over there a couple of weeks or week and a half or so earlier, doing some days in Tokyo, then Hiroshima, then Kyoto. Of course, going by the train because I'm going to go by the train.
No, there's no other way. You got to do it. It's the best way.
I've already, my travel agent has found a guide for me for some days, because even though I go and do these things, I do do have anxieties, and doing things on your own is a challenge.
Oh, for sure.
So, so I think already on the itinerary is a railway museum or two. I've found a few.
Nice.
Yep. I don't know if I can fit in the train line that is a cat. So the stations are shaped like a cat. The trains are painted up as cats.
Yeah, 'cause that's pretty remote, and it's kind of like out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd have to like travel a bit out of, I think, Osaka, and then go to just this little branch line. Andy's just holding his head.
That's the Trinity, isn't it? That's the Trinity. And/or trains and cats. That's
yeah.
There is nothing else. There's nothing else. Your life is complete.
So we know my perfect Star Wars movie is Cassian Andor on a train rescuing cats.
Yeah. No,
Cassian.
And maybe Tony Gilroy, you make a special edition for me. You make the real one, and then you make a Catherine special edition, which has stuff like that. And also Cassian Andor dirty dancing like he does in Dirty Dancing 2 Havana Nights.
Well, doesn't he attend a ball or something in Coruscant? Did we see that?
I'm willing that into existence.
Oh, okay. I'm sure he goes to some sort of, Bib and Tucker do.
I'm sure he goes to something in Coruscant, so has to dress like,
Andy,
that might be part of the Mothma.
Are you implying that Mon Mothma and Andor might cross paths or something? Is that what you're?
I wouldn't object to that. I mean, her husband's an asshole. I wouldn't object to that at all. Oh, that's it. Watching that guy get his comeuppance would be great. Oh, that's something to look forward to.
It is so great when the internet comes as one and goes, Perrin, we hate you. You're the worst. And there's these Imperials, but you're worst.
Yeah.
Catherine, I'll be completely honest with you. There may have been a message that I sent Andy within the last week in the middle of the night that I was like, what are the odds that we get like Andor and Mon Mothma having a secret love child at like in the middle of season 2? And then I think your response was Rey's mom. I'm like,
I did not say that. I'm denying that. I didn't say that at all. I didn't want to get
the internet would.
That's one of those hand grenade moments where you pull the pin, you run away as fast as you can. Yeah.
It's like, the internet would explode, but that'd be fun.
Yeah.
No, I Mon Mothma and the hot banker who helps her out.
Good guy.
Yep.
Good guy.
I'm here for it.
No, I'm all for that. You never know as well. I mean, we're going to experience. We're going to be experiencing 5 years. We know there are trains on Coruscant because our buddy, I can't what's his name? Come on,
Dr. Pershing.
Was he on a train?
Yeah, he and what's her face were on a train on Coruscant to go, get those
files
to the
reclaim
those
files from the Star Destroyer. Yeah. Anyway, point being is that we know there are trains. There's no reason why Cassian during his assignment on Coruscant can't have a loft cat. There you go. Got a loft cat.
Again, this is the Catherine special edition.
Yeah.
We can have the serious, like canon. This is canon. This is actual Andor. And here you go, Catherine. Here's the DVD bonus extras of just this stuff.
You can see it on the back of the DVD, can't you? It's like the reviews are best episode ever. Catherine Kneen, Melbourne, Australia. But yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So Tokyo, you've got a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yep. And after Celebration, Tokyo Disneyland.
I thought you hadn't said that. Okay.
Was, I've still got to wait for them to release the, more of the hotel dates because you've got to wait like 4 months or something. But that's coming into place. Yeah.
They make it really hard they make it really hard to get into. Like, they make it really crazy, like to get the hotels and the tickets. And you think that's going to translate to when you're there. But then once you're physically there, they kind of scare you because like the lines outside, but everybody's very civil and no one's touching each other. And it's just like, then the gates open. It's like, oh. And then once you're inside, it's like, it's like, whoa, it's all on the front end. It's all just getting a hotel. Everything else is just a cakewalk and smooth sailing. It's like, it's complete opposite of like the U.S. parks. It's very frustrating for somebody like me.
And all the queues generally shorter than the U.S.
It's the opposite. So the U.S. people are very opportunistic, and I'm gonna spend a bunch of money, and we're like everything's just chaos. Everything's just congested, and everybody's fighting and lines and cutting and whatever. But in my experience with Tokyo Disney is most of the people there, depending on time of year, I can't speak for when we're going to be there.
Yeah.
They're there all the time. Like, they live there. And so they're not paying to ride in the express lines. I'm just going to call them express lines because I'm not going to remember all the dumb terminology that they change all the time. So they're willing to wait because it's not like they're there for 4 days and they have to fly back home. So if you were to pay, so like when we went, we paid for like the express lines for a handful of things, and we walked right on because nobody else was using it because they're all willing to wait. So the bang for the buck was we went to the park and we rode literally everything.
Right.
We did everything in the park in half the day. When we ate it everywhere we want. The only thing we couldn't do were some of the crazy, like, one time a day shows, like a festival show that was in something that had limited seating, and then that's what everybody's fighting over.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, or if there's a parade and it rained at the first one, and there's then everybody's sitting on the ground 6 hours ahead of time before the next parade, getting rained on, because they're not missing that parade because it's a limited time parade. It's like, okay, that's where it's like different. But getting on rides, you could just
no problem at all.
Walk right on them. Yeah, it's like the exact opposite of the U.S. pretty much.
And is that your Catherine? Is that your swan song before you catch the flight back, or have you got further plans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's still a packed itinerary.
Australians,
Don't fuck with spiders.
We're not here to fuck spiders. Or to quote Survivor, if I do anything, I go full tilt. Like, it takes a long time to get places. So when we get there, we got to go just full on at it.
Excellent.
Because, like we're saying, it's so close. It's only 10 hours. That is what we've been saying.
Yeah.
Like, we're going, it's practically a home celebration. It's only 10 hours.
Maybe,
that's our philosophy.
maybe, and I pray for you guys, it is one step closer to that announcement where celebration will be held in Melbourne, Sydney. Who knows?
We'd love it. And every now and again we have this conversation about our respective convention centres. They're all big enough and nice enough to be able to hold it. The Melbourne in particular is incredibly close to CBD. Like, it's across the river, you cross the bridge and you're there. And as it is, there's food precincts and everything there. It's very good for public transport. But it's just getting all the other stuff.
I'm with you. It's a long way.
From America and from Europe.
It's a long way from everywhere. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
See, with Japan, there's enough sort of Japanese unique things that if there's a shortcoming of stuff from America, there's enough Japanese things. I don't think there's the same thing in Australia.
No.
Now, obviously, if we had something like this in Australia, we'd have the Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith sort of actors there to do it. And technically, Genevieve O'Reilly, who plays Mon Mothma, is not Australian, but she's done a number of Australian things.
Yeah.
So she was in The Dry with Eric Bana, perfect Australian accent
But
in
weren't
that.
all the prequels filmed there anyway, or was it only Attack of the Clones?
So you'd get the. Well, she was working in Australia.
Right, I got it. Okay,
at that point. I think she'd moved to Australia as like a teenager. And so, she was working there.
I mean, I think it's all right. They don't.
Yeah.
Nothing was filmed in Chicago or Orlando, so I think it'll be okay if it goes to Australia. Just as long as it's not in Perth, I think we're okay.
Yeah, look, Perth is a long way from a lot of places, apart from maybe Bali. But Perth is the most isolated capital city in the world. Melbourne, Sydney has got great connections. I mean, Sydney in particular, I'll admit that, has got great connections to the world. Like all the airlines will go there, but Melbourne too has a lot of great connections. You can get there also. But I mean, it'd be great, but we're realistic in thinking that after Japan, it would probably go back to America.
I guess it has to. It's because they haven't had it since, when was Anaheim?
Anaheim, 2022.
God, was it only a year before London? I didn't realise that.
I remember, on that last day when they announce where it's going to be, the Australians and the Brits were like, yes, and the Americans were a bit more, and it only being at that point less than a year away because Anaheim was in May, it was a quick turnaround and hard for budgeting. It was hard for everyone in terms of budgeting.
I do have a last proper question for you, but I was going to ask the question. Do you think they'll go back to you annually? Because that's expensive.
No.
Okay.
I have a comment on that too.
They've got enough.
Yeah.
I don't think they've got enough to, quote unquote content, to make it. Obviously, when they are in this more movies cycle, they might think about it. Yeah. But I don't know, because I don't know if they've got enough, because Chicago was a 5-day celebration. Sure. Immediately the first day was this like preview day where there was no panels, so everyone was walking the floor. I don't know if they'd have a day like that again. Anaheim and London then were 4 days. Japan's 3 days. So I don't know. I don't know whether they'd make it every year again, because do they have enough to sustain that sort of energy? And look, the bank balance is hurting. Yeah. I mean, we've all like be grown-ups for the minute and go, inflation and mortgage is hard. Wow. And it's been really hard the last couple of years with all of that. And I've planned this trip, but it's rough on the old finances.
Well, I mean, this is it. This is kind of what I was getting at. Is I've thanks to you guys, I've kind of caught the bug now, and I want to be involved. But good God, it's going to be hard to maintain if there's a expensive flight every year coming my way.
There's no way they can do every year. Like, even they can't afford that, because it's the diminishing returns. And like, I want to whisper this part, but I'm going to say it. Like, I'm going to preface it with, like, I love all of our friends, and I feel bad. I wish everybody was going to Japan, and I'd do anything to have everybody there. But like, I will say, like, I really do not want there to be a celebration in 2026.
Right.
Like, primarily because I feel like what that will entail will meaning basically say that the Japan one will be limited. Like it's going to be
Right.
because I feel like that's what they've done at others. Like when there was one that was immediately after, that means they were just able to like have less content there.
When's the next?
It's like, oh, we'll just do.
When's the next film?
We'll just have it be.
When's the next movie coming out?
We never know.
May 2026.
Yeah. See.
Is when they're saying the Mando and Grogu. That one, we know they are literally filming it. Whether it will come out May 2026, I mean, who knows? I like Star Wars at Christmas.
Yeah, me too.
That's a personal preference. I think it goes really well together. So I prefer Star Wars at Christmas time. But I think, having the 2022-2023 celebrations, I think in some ways that was a quirk of
COVID
having, the 2020 celebration put off until 2022.
Right.
Like, so I don't know. And then we've, it's been 2 years or will be 2 years until Japan. I think they might be getting.
You don't think they may be thinking, well, we're going to have to do something in 2026 because that will be our launch pad that'll be our springboard for the new movie. I guess
I don't think they need celebrations for the movies. I really don't think they need.
It's coming out in May. It only gives them a month to do anything. So I think
that's why they wouldn't.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't think this is hold on to your britches. I don't think Mando and Grogu warrants a celebration. I think I don't think the Mandoverse warrants it like anymore. I think not. It's not new. I think the next big films, not the super long Disney Plus release that we're putting in theaters, which is what I'm calling Mando and Grogu. Like, not diminishing it. I'm so excited. I love it. Fantastic.
We're a positive podcast.
It is positive. It is positive, but I'm like, it's not the Rey movie. It's not.
I know.
It is.
I know what you mean. I'm kidding.
And I think Disney's kind of seeing it that way too. Like with some of the stuff that they're doing, like it's May. They're putting it out in May. It's not going to be Christmas.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing where it's like, I would hope they're not doing it in 2026. I would hope it's going to be a May 2027, preparing for a 2027 December release movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And people just being like, guess what? We got a movie coming out in 6 months. Buckle up.
Okay.
It's about to be nuts.
Okay.
Because, Chicago, which was that's April, late April type of time, because it was Easter, we got the episode 9 trailer and release of the title. Ian McDermott coming out saying, roll it again. Yes, I lost my mind. I may have lost feeling in my legs.
I think everyone did.
I was so excited.
We had, we had
say
no idea what how the film was going to end up, but I think everyone was
say what you want
nice.
About that film, but I've never experienced anything like being in the big arena.
Yeah.
When that trailer rolled, and like I thought that was as close to like a happy riot that I've ever been in my life. Like people were just like, wow. It was bananas. And that was a big arena too. The Chicago celebration was probably the weirdest one out of all of it, in a good way. It was just so massive.
So Catherine.
There was a whole side of the convention center I didn't get to. Apart from once. I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
It's over here.
I'd love to have it in Chicago again. That was just such a bizarre, in a good way.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I didn't love having to cross that road to get to the big.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. On snow day.
So Catherine.
Yeah, it could not snow. That'd be fantastic.
So Catherine, last question. And
last of your questions, man.
Yeah. Dude, chip in anytime. What was I say? Yeah. So, assuming that we're gonna get a boatload of Andor, in during the event, assuming we're gonna get loads and loads of panels that you're gonna get into, because if you don't get into them, we're gonna get you into them, and we're gonna break you in. Assuming Andor, everything Andor,
One way in.
one way in. Exactly. But assuming that you get everything you want for Andor, is there anything else? The question is, what do you hope we'll get to see at Celebration Japan? And I'm gonna put a caveat to this and say, apart from everything you want for Andor, is there anything on top of that that you would like to see that they focus a little bit of time on?
I do like that with that announcement of Visions Season 3, they've announced there's a lot more anime again, so it's going back to that first season. And so you kind of think, yeah, well, the panels for that or the announcements, the little teasers we might get for that at Celebration Japan are going to be top notch. I don't know whether we'll get it or not, but there are a couple of stories in that first season of Visions that you'd love to see more of. Like there was some you go, oh mate, you're leaving me on red. Like, come on, can we get a bit more of those? So I think we'll get a lot of Visions, because you can't tell me that it's a coincidence that Season 3 of Visions has gone back to the Japanese anime studios, and they're going to have Celebration in Japan, not long before the release of Season 3 of Visions. You can't tell me that's not a coincidence. That's a coincidence, yeah.
No, I think it's a good. I think it's probably not particularly clever, but I think it's a really, really smart move. It's a no-brainer that they're going to do that. And again, I talked to Sean and Josh about this a couple of weeks back, in that I'm literally flying in, and I'm there for Celebration. I'm flying out again. So having the opportunity to experience a smidgen of Japanese culture is something I'm really, really looking forward to. And I think that exactly that will satisfy that itch a little bit.
Yeah, so this will be my first time to a celebration in a non-English speaking country. And when I've travelled on my own and being in a non-English speaking country, it's been in Europe. So, that it doesn't count in a way, because you can read a lot of like German. I did enough German at school. I can read my way through a lot of things. But in Japan, it'll be a totally different experience.
I was surprised at how much English everybody spoke, and how much English was literally everywhere.
I know that a lot of signs, especially in train stations and things, because yes, I watch a lot of YouTube videos about trains, that announcements and do have English and things. On one of the Shinkansens, the voice of the Shinkansen's actually Australian.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but still, it'll be a totally different sort of traveling experience. So that it'll be,
I'd love to get your thoughts on it after the fact, because for me, not being able to understand people naturally, like I tend to hear a lot when I'm like, I pick up, and so not being able to naturally understand people, it almost felt quieter in a lot of ways, because I wasn't naturally listening to everything everybody was saying. So I was just like, I guess, lost in myself, like lost in the situation a lot more. So I'm curious if you have a similar experience or the opposite. or just neither? I'm curious to how that goes for you.
Yeah. And I think traveling on my own will also be interesting in that kind of environment as well.
The Google Translate app is fantastic with the little camera you can hold up and it'll translate it all like a little picture and put the words over it. It's like, oh, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the sort of use of the like AI type of technology. I go, yeah, okay, I can live with that.
Yeah. It's like, all right, we'll draw the line here. No, nothing further. You're right there.
Yes.
Excellent.
I do have a couple quick rapid fire questions for him. Nothing too deep. If
Me?
that's okay.
Answer something rapidly?
No, hopefully they're quick. So hypothetically, somebody wanted to run away and move to Australia. Where would you recommend? Melbourne, Sydney, Perth? Like if they didn't live in Australia and they wanted to move there, I've heard some people recommend Sydney, like Turbo. Other people say Melbourne.
Yes. Well, I say Melbourne because we've got a fantastic comedy scene here. There is live music scene here. There's lots of things. There's a great food scene here as well. It's a fantastic city. Obviously, the weather is incredibly variable. That's the biggest gripe we have. Melbourne is rapidly growing. So Sydney, but we're growing faster, so we're going to overtake Sydney. But left field, think about some of the regional areas of Victoria, New South Wales, and even perhaps Adelaide. Or if you want nice weather, Brisbane, that's up in Queensland. But
I was about to ask about Brisbane.
That's where Bluey lives. So that's also got that going for it. So.
Yeah. But obviously Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide and Perth are AFL cities, and so is Hobart. Sydney is also rugby. Brisbane's far stronger rugby. Me, Melbourne girl, AFL all the way.
All right.
Like I know a lot of people don't understand that, but yes, there is a very bitter rivalry between Sydney and Melbourne. It's existed for a very long time. That's why Canberra is our capital and is where it is. Because
it's a breakup.
Our founders couldn't break the decision, break the argument as to where the capital was going to be, Sydney or Melbourne. So they had to build one. However, for the first 22 years of our federation, the parliament was in Melbourne, I'd just like to say.
Interesting. That's all interesting food for thought. Madison will greatly appreciate, okay, not somebody whose name might be Madison, will greatly appreciate these answers. My other two questions, well, they don't have to be answered right now, but they are food for thought for a future as we get closer to Andor. One of them is actually closer to Celebration. One of them is, hypothetically, somebody who may or may not be a strong swimmer, should they consider a Kino Loy cosplay? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll write that one down for myself.
Are you seriously considering
with
this?
Floaties.
No, that's more of just a joke. No, not for, I'm not going to wear. But if they do not in Japan, but if in the US, if there's a celebration, and if they're going to do the one way out running, how wouldn't that just fit? Like, if I'm not a strong swimmer, why wouldn't I dress as Kino Loy? Like, you only live once, one way out. Andy, come on.
Yep. You've got to have the blow up spinners, like floaties and little things.
I tell you what, if we were going to cosplay, because I'm not a fan of going as Balin. In fact,
where's my wig? Where's my wig?
I'd prefer to shave than shave the beard off than be pressed gang like that, Hoffman. But I wouldn't mind doing there's a couple of companies online that do a really good Markina 5 jammy set. I'd be interested in getting.
All right. I noted. Just so you know, I've already mentioned this to Madison. If Ivanka, whatever her name is, if if Shin Hati is in Japan, I am getting her autograph, and I'm wearing the wig. You don't have to be there, but it's happening.
Actually, that's a good point. Are you are you guys okay for time for a couple of minutes? Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Are
Yes.
you guys, either of you, I know you're a bit of an autograph fiend, or were, sorry, Sean. What about you, Catherine? Are you an autograph fiend?
Not really. I've never really done it. I've been to a few Star Trek conventions
Right.
a long time ago, and I got some signatures there, but it's not been something I've done. I haven't done it at the celebrations. It was something I think I thought about, but then I freaked about, especially about maybe getting a photo. But I'd have to do it for Diego. I'd have to do it. Like, it's one of those things of, yes, they can be a lot of money, and you then struggle with bills, but is it going to be something that you regret doing?
I don't know. There's got to be a way.
There's got to
be a way that you getting his autograph is outside the normal process. There's got to be a way that we can let his people know. If he doesn't already know, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. The point being is that if he doesn't already know,
I don't think he's blocked me.
well, there you go. That's a good step.
Well,
That's a good step. But we should talk to his people, Sean. Let's find a way. Speak to his people. Now, the reason why I was asking,
we should talk to his people.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
All right.
Hi, Diego. I'm Andy, big fan. Anyway, I was the reason why I was asking, because I'm not in any way a signatures guy. I it's one of those things that I know that if I'd end up being a completionist about, and I couldn't put myself through that. However, I'm really up for doing something. If Alan Tudyk's going to be there, I need to get his autograph, and not for K2, but as Wash from Firefly.
Yes.
I've got a vintage Wash figure. Very, I don't think it's down here. It's in near mint condition. It's carded, and I've got this. And it was it's one of those 2:00 in the morning thoughts that I had, which was, I'm going to take that with me. I'm taking that with me. And if I do manage to get him to sign something, I want to get him to sign that. And then, and then I started manifesting this in my brain as to what I'd do to make him laugh. And I'd also probably pay for a photograph as well, a photo moment. And I'd get him to say, have you guys watched A Knight's Tale? You must have watched A Knight's Tale.
Yeah.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So I'd get him to, I'd just as the camera's about to click, I'd say, right, everyone say, it's called a lance, hello. If you've seen A Knight's Tale, that's a moment that made me laugh. Anyway, sorry, I've got a bit of a singular wet.
I know I'm pretty sure I probably said this before. It's like, I know I've probably waxed poetic about the signature stuff before. Like, what's funny is I actually don't care about the signature. The signature is just like the reason, the 30 seconds of the interaction. Like, it gives them something to do. Like, for Alan Tudyk, I would probably get his depending on the price. But like, similar to yours with Wash, I would probably make him sign, like, I'd probably bring one of the chicken from Moana and have him sign that. Just to be like, that's how much the signature just doesn't really matter to me. Because one, I think that's fun. I think it's hilarious.
Dude,
and two, it's more about the interaction. I just think that'd be funny. And like, if I could ever get Ewan McGregor's for under $4 billion, the one that would be important to me is him in Big Fish, like in the field with the flowers. Like, that would be, like, I would do that if it was not eight and a half. The price went up already. It's $8 billion now. Like, I would do that. But it, like, to me, that's the thing. Like, I know I've said it before. It's not about the signatures. Like, I couldn't do a photo. Like, if somebody's like, hey, you want to take a photo with Ewan McGregor? I'd be like, do I have to be in it?
Yeah.
Like, can I take his photo?
Yeah.
Like, no, you got to be in it. It's like, oh, I don't want that. I don't like, because then it's just me being me and him, and it's weird. What am I going to print it and put it on the wall? And no,
there's just
like, yeah, I don't like being in photos as it is. Like, I don't like looking at myself in photos. Okay. So, but yeah, it's rough.
There are a few artists, and not a lot, but there are a few artists that I admire, and not necessarily because of Star Wars. If Donald Glover was there, I'd he's another autograph I'd go for as well. The solely Star Wars stuff, I probably wouldn't go for. But yeah, all good. Sorry, I went off at a little bit of a tangent there. Any more questions for our friend Catherine?
This is a future one you can think about. You don't have to answer now, but this is one that I want people to mull around in their head. Since nobody likes Perrin, I freaking hope not. Think about leading up to season 3. Who do we want to see deliver the beatdown that he deserves? Like, I'm sure everybody has different answers, and I can give my answer. I want to see Katie O'Brien, the Imperial officer. I would love to see that. I want to see her be the one to deliver the beatdown that I think he deserves. And
Vel.
All right. Well,
Vel.
Yeah, I like that. I like that answer too. Andy, do you have? Now that you're on the spot, it's two of us have answered.
I would have stolen that as well. I didn't even think of it, but now that you've said it, I think you win the night there, Catherine. The only other thing I can think of is good God.
There's so many good options. It's literally anybody. There's no wrong answer.
Why can't I just be beaten with the brick? Just beaten with the brick.
Yeah, just brick by anybody. I love it. That's it. That was my question. That's all I had.
Catherine, thank you so much. I hope we haven't dragged you out too long. Sorry.
No, it's it's okay time for me. I know it's very late for you.
That's all good. I just want to make this happen because it was trying to coordinate 3 time zones is a lot of fun, an awful lot of fun.
Yes.
But no, thank you so much for joining us. And it was only going to be a matter of time, but the fact that all the stars aligned and that we've got this little snippets of Andor news along with the discussion around Celebration, it seemed like a perfect opportunity. But thank you very much. And it's a stupid question because if they're listening to us, they already know where you are, but where can the lovely people of the internet find you, Catherine?
Well, it's mainly Blue Sky now. That's where I post, but I'm tending to respond more on. So at Catherine Kneen on Blue Sky, no underscore there. I'm also on Threads at Catherine _Kneen there. That Geek Pod is on Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads, and Instagram, and Facebook. And yes, I promise at some point I'll record another podcast, but it's, the weeks get away from you. And yeah.
Well, there's a good chance you and I are going to be talking again in a few days anyway, aren't we?
Yes. Good old Skelly crew. So yes, you can hear me a lot on Star Wars Spelt Out, saying Josh is very good to have me on so often.
Oh, no. Come on. You're the one with the sensible ideas. You're the one that actually makes sense. The rest of us are incoherent. Can't even say the word, but you know what I mean. Thank you again.
I think they call that an egg. She's an anchor.
That's it. That's exactly what I meant. That's exactly what I meant. Thank you again.
But if you see me at Celebration, I'll be the one wearing the Star Wars Spelt Out beanie.
And then being carried out by paramedics as well because she's fainted for the 11th time that day.
Yes.
Because of the intense focus on Andor. Thank you again. Thank you for being our friend. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for the amazing amount of positivity that you bring to this community without question and without any condition. And look forward to catching up with you soon. Sean, buddy, thank you for steering the ship as always. And lovely lots, buddy. I'll catch up with you during the week after the first 2 episodes of The Skeleton Crew. Take us out, bud.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much. Really, it really means the world. Thank you to everybody who listened. If you know where to find us, justchillin.com. You can catch us on Blue Sky, where we talk about everything. There's a ton of people over there now. We're talking about all sorts of stuff, not just talking about being on Blue Sky. You can catch us on Instagram, where I am sending memes talking about Bug and Andy about Wicked. That's pretty much all I'm talking about on Instagram. So that's, get just before you go there, that's what you're getting into. But yeah, I appreciate it. We'll see you again in a couple days. Once again, thank you so much to Catherine. If you haven't listened to Geek Pod, you have to. It's so good. She's quality over quantity. Telling you, it's fantastic.
I'll have that as my tagline.
Once again, thanks everybody. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.